Hmm, interesting. Welcome to the Quantum Sound Therapy Coherence Masterclass. Today, we're going to be doing the masterclass from a completely different perspective. It has been redesigned. So I'm going to begin promptly, and so this version of the masterclass is what you're going to be trained into. Those of you that are doing the immersions, the Serenosphere Coherence immersions. So I'm going to be very precise, and this is a beta version. This is the very first version of the new masterclass. So let's begin, and welcome everyone. So we have redefined the mission to solve what's been keeping you stuck in survival mode. And this is the coherence breakthrough. So the mission is to anchor the field in order to upgrade or elevate the human experience. So consistent exposure to a coherent field reorganizes the nervous system, stabilizes the mind, and restores flow. And what we're doing is removing the distortions that have hung around humanity, weighing humanity down for at least 12,000 years. And this has resulted in a dysregulated nervous system, stress, overload noise, and symptoms of decoherence. So the mission, the Serenosphere mission, is we are pioneering a global network of Serenosphere coherence immersions and Serenosphere centers dedicated to one simple but profound mission, helping humanity remember coherence. By creating environments that support the nervous system regulation, flow state, and energetic harmony, we're contributing to the worldwide transition from stress and fragmentation, and I would add disempowerment, into a coherent, awakened, empowered human civilization. So the question, how do you move from dysregulation to coherence? And the story started with my son, Michael, who called me one day, and I picked up the phone. It's the middle of the summer, and I hear this very anxious voice that says, you know, Mom, I have been studying for this GMAT thing since my freshman year when we bought, $100 worth of those books at Books A Million. And I've been stuck in 500 and 550 scores in the practice tests. I'm getting really frustrated with this. So I've decided that if I'm not smart enough to go to a top tier business school to do an MBA, it's okay with me. So that sort of sent a shockwave through my nervous system because Michael was a go-getter. So he had always been highly motivated to develop a skill set. He was an ice hockey goaltender, and he decided to do an MBA because his dream of becoming a pro goaltender in the NHL was failing. He was playing hockey in college, but it was Division II, and his results were not quite up to par with the pros that are now playing hockey. So his decision was to become an MBA and to do work in private equity. But he'd invested, I would say, hundreds to thousands of hours in study, and nothing was held. And that was because of his dysregulated nervous system. So he was studying, but when he was going to take the test, and these were just practice tests, he actually would go into a dysregulated nervous system state and forget everything that he learned. So in this conversation, I paused, took a deep breath, because I knew at that moment that the intervention had to occur right then. And so I said, honey, I don't bank so much on those test scores, but if you'd like, maybe if you came home and studied here, we could, and take the test in Little Rock, we could see if we could improve the score by creating something that would assist your studying. So there was a pause, that pregnant pause that most mothers have experienced. And I could tell he was thinking. And he said, I think a change of scenery might do me well. So we hung up the phone and booked a ticket. And I marched myself into Robert Loy's office and said, we have an issue. We need to create a soundtrack because it looks like Michael is not failing, but he's not performing well on the GMATs. And I know it's anxiety, stress, emotions, and they're putting so much weight on it. It seems to make it worse. So that afternoon, we got right to work on what is now called the Focus Soundtrack, which is on all of our technologies from the Own Pocket, the Miracle, and the Serenosphere. So his GMAT scores. So about a few weeks later, Michael flew back to Little Rock. I picked him up at the airport, and I was really quite surprised in the middle of the summer how serious he was, how focused he was. So we drove back to the house. He literally jumped in the pool and then started studying. And that studying went on around the clock. Finally, we went out to dinner about 3 nights later. And I was kind of really beginning to wonder because he just really was in this room with the Focus soundtrack studying for the GMAT in the middle of the summer. Seemed a little unusual. So what happened was he actually then we went out to dinner, we came back, and I was sitting outside when I heard him yelling and jumping up and down because his practice test, he'd gotten a 690 and the spell had been broken. So we then went to Little Rock. He took the test, he got a 640, and the rest is history. He started studying more in the presence of the Focus iCube and the Focus soundtrack. And this actually set him up for immense success. But what I noticed as a mother, because I know a lot of you are mothers and fathers, that there was a state of being that came over because he had a spell over him that he wasn't good enough. He wasn't enough. He wasn't smart enough. It was an inadequacy program that he was running. And if that was going to play out through his life, you can imagine how his life would have gone because he felt inadequate. But instead, I was starting to get phone calls like, I'm on my way to the dentist, but I'm going to go back and teach econometrics, which I can barely pronounce. And his personality changed, is my point, because once that spell of not being smart enough, not being good enough, not being handsome enough, not being tall enough, not being short, whatever the inadequacy is, once that spell was broken, and that's a subconscious spell, things changed. So I'm going to be sharing with you today what has been created that actually flipped the script on Mike's destiny. So this is the science behind the shift. And I'm going over 4 quantum hacks. So the first hack, just to summarize the 4, the first hack is the field. So generating a protective field for evolution. The second hack will be the voice code, which is the way to directly deprogram the decoherence in your field in the subconscious, and then the brain waves, and of course, the own pocket. So, the field, what is invisible, is impacting your state morning, noon, and night. So, the invisible field around you that you cannot see, touch, taste, or feel has an impact on your well being. So, last year, we hired this young man, Dr. Nima Farshid, who is the founder of Gaia Healers, to research what the technology is doing to the field. And these are his results.
I have been blown away with the research that I've done so far for quantum sound therapy. And Helena showed some of the images. If I just shared one of the images, if I could share that with everybody, I can explain to you what we're seeing here. I just send a
Yeah.
request to share my screen. So this was I get invited to all different types of areas. People want me to research on their homes, on their centers, and they want to understand how they can bring more coherent energy. So we have been doing research on a lot of different technologies. The purpose is, if you're seeing on this screen here, the dots that we see on the screen, these are about every second. We have these sensors that will send a kind of like an impulse into the environment, and it will collect where the energy is getting collapsed. So imagine if there is a almost like these waves that are going away from this device to the environment, and at any point that these waves get collapse with another field. It could be Wi-Fi, EMF, it could be entities, it could be a lot of different things that if they are in our environment, then they can show exactly where these waves that are being produced are getting stopped. So if you look at the orange dots on the screen, that's a before scan that I did on the environment. And we're just, running the sensors before turning on the serenosphere in this case. And as you can see, the waves that were produced and that were being emitted to the environment, that they were breaking in all different areas. So that shows us that there's a lot of chaos in the environment. So if you look at the purple color now, that's the scan that we did immediately after. We ran the serenosphere for about an hour. And what we experienced was that, as you can see, when we talk about 0 point energy, I have done a lot of research of understanding like how we can actually calculate 0 point energy, because there's a lot of technologies that they claim that their technologies are producing 0 point energy, and 0 point energy is like a higher consciousness information that's within the field. That's the field of coherence, and if we can tap into that field, then that's where almost like miracles happen. So that's what I've been experiencing with the serenosphere and the miracle, based on the research that I've done. We have tested up to 10 different properties right now, and this research is ongoing, and we're using the technology on all different ways to be able to research the power of the science. And you can see for yourself of how all the different particles, when these waves are being produced, now they're collapsing at one specific point. And that's how you see all of these dots that they come together. So where I have seen this kind of information, for example, we have done research with, let's say, a group of 2,000 meditators. And, we gathered all these meditators in a room, and we measured the energy of the environment. And as you can see, like where we see the orange dots, very similar pattern when we have 2,000 people in one big room, and, there's a lot of thoughts, there's a lot of emotions, and all of this is like giving the birth to these vibrations or waves that are being produced in that environment. So then we would see this kind of a chaotic information. But then we'll ask everybody to, and I directed the meditation for 20 minutes, and we got 2,000 people. And these were gurus, shamans. These are people from India that were like very, very advanced in the art of meditation. And once they sat down and they meditated for 20 minutes, this is exactly what happened to the energy of the room. As we can see with all the dots coming together and creating that area of coherence, that area of higher vibration. So to run the serenosphere for an hour and being able to have the effect of the same effect of 2,000 people meditating in the same room, that gives you the power of what we're dealing with here. So I just wanted to share this and quickly just refer to it because I know Helena wasn't able to really explain the dots and the images, so I wanted to put my 2 cents in for you to show you how powerful it is what we're doing and how we're truly creating that 0 point energy. And that's why I'm all on board. And I've told Helena that, you know, it's my honor to be the scientist for this field and to help you guys to grow this science. Because just imagine if we can bring these to different homes, to different environments, just imagine what we can do to Gaia, to our mother. And, you know, my mission in life is to empower Gaia. My company is called Gaia Healers. We bring people, we educate them on how to influence the energy of environment, to influence the biofield for people, and how to affect the energy of waters around our globe. So with this technology, it's like the match made in heaven for Gaia Healers because we're able to influence the energy of environments. We have measured this in homes that we did our last immersion in Jensen Beach. And once we started to measure, I wanted to test the energy in the pipes where the water is actually passing through. And I was able to collect one of the highest energy levels I've ever collected from the energy of a tap water, which usually we get maybe 0 to 1 joule of energy from tap water. But in Jensen Beach, we were up to 5 joules of energy in the water that's just coming out of the faucet. So now just imagine that's the water that we're taking a shower with every day. I mean, people put filters in their homes and, you know, but when we go and take a shower and we have all this, you know, the chlorines and fluorines and all these different particles in the water that's influencing our skin. Now that's a high level research that I would love to add into, you know, this field of how we can actually influence these beautiful healing energies into the water molecules that we're taking a bath with, that we're cooking our foods with. So that becomes a super, super powerful and honored and blessed to be here with you guys. Thank you for your attention.
So thank you for your, I do want to say that this science is in its infancy. So it's very important that you understand that those are photons that are gathering because the Serenosphere is plugged in and organizing the photonic light in the environment, which is why any environment where we have one of our technologies plugged in and playing feels lighter and brighter. It's because of this exact dynamic and image. So what's happening, as you can see, is that it's gathering the light, it's concentrating it into a very specific area. So the image on the far right is the gathering of the lights, which is what Nima is saying, that 2,000 meditators accomplished a similar mission, but this is just a plug and play technology. And at Gaia Healers, at his event, he also spoke about the field.
She gifted one of her technologies to us to do research. We have healing homes here in Florida that we invite people to come to our homes, and we research different technologies. We want to see how we can help people. And once we see that you know there's a technology that's really helping people, then we bring that to our community and to our conferences, and we introduce that to everybody. So we got one of her devices, which is called a Miracle 9, and we put it into the healing house. And we had people that would come over, and this system can be used in 2 different ways. One of the ways is that there's an app that you can actually record your voice. There is 2 lines of vowels that you kind of like go through, like baby and be by bohu and hey he hi ho hu. So then you keep on repeating those. It will measure that frequency and it will create a counter frequency through the app. And then it will send it as a music file that you can send it to the device and actually listen to it through the headphone and have the device pretty much broadcast that information to your environment. So we're like, okay, let's try this out. Put some people, we got one room that's secluded, nobody's like have access. They go sit in the room, we put the system in front of them, they put the headset, and we're just doing our own things. We're scanning people with BioWell and doing this and that. So the first day that we started running the research, I would go to the room after like the session was done. I had it on my phone, it's like a 20-minute session. So as soon as the music was done, I would go and open the door, and whoever that was getting the treatment, they would get up, and it was like it's like they just had an outer body experience. Like they were just like kind of like looking around, so like, oh my God, where am I at? Like, what is this? And then there was this light, like I could see this light that is just like extending from their system. It's like they're glowing when they walk out of the room. So that's the research that we're doing now to see like how her technology is actually influencing the biofield in a powerful way. And we're in the process of doing the fine-tuning the research on the human body. But we have also looked at the way that, by, for example, running the system into an environment of what actually happens to the energy of environment. What happens to the fluctuations. So I have a couple of those results here that I'll quickly go through some of them here. That way we can get an idea of what we're looking at. So
can barely see
if you take a look at some of these scans here, like for example, if I look at you see this is called the cloud. The cloud is like every single dot that you see on the screen, this is the Sputnik measurement that is sending these signals, and then wherever these signals are collapsing in the environment, we get a dot. So now, when they're really dispersed and they're separated, that's the son of a chaotic information. That's chaotic information, chaotic energy within that environment. But now what we want to do is that once we bring coherence into an environment, all of these particles actually come closer to each other, and they almost create a circle. So that's how we can see how we're influencing the coherence of environments. So this was one of the before scans that we did. And now if we go to the after scan, and we look at the cloud, you see how much closer they're coming together now? And this is just after running it for a very short amount of time. So the more that we run this, and in different experiences, you'll see that we get some really fascinating results from this information. So now if we go to one of the other scans here. So we go back again to the cloud. You can see the disbursement there. And then once we go back to the after, now see how they come together. Wow. So I'm a researcher, I'm a scientist. I get invited to go to research like a group of 2,000 people that are meditating. And we go and we put up sensors.
So we just heard that. So I know it's barely visible, but what I'm showing you is that what we were talking about in the previous master classes has now been measured, and we have significant shifts in the quality of the environmental energy that's being measured by the BioWell Sputnik, and apparently BioWell has just come out with the Element. So these are multi-channel biofeedback recordings, and the before and after show the coherence in action. And instead of talking theoretically, those are the scientists that are at the cutting edge, the bleeding edge of the field of energy measurement, because it's very much fifth dimensional when you start measuring energy. So we're very much in the infancy. And as Einstein said, though, the field is the sole governing agency of the particle, which means every aspect of what you're not seeing is shaping your behavior, either positively or negatively. So it's either adding or draining. And what made the difference in Michael's story, the scalar energy does not weaken. It passes through, which means it can pass through your distortions and rearrange the energy field, which is essentially a summary of what Nima was saying. And then the phase conjugation resonance mirror that I'll be discussing more is a way to activate your direct connection to source. And the third is the utilization of 24/7 plug and play brainwave entrainment frequencies being optimized by the scalar energy. So we've got a very holistic environmental approach that includes an intervention for the psyche, the subconscious, but also the field. Things that most are having a difficult time addressing, by the way. But since frequencies are roughly are hundreds of times as powerful as physical elements. This is its potency. And the scalar waves are beyond conventional electromagnetism, and they are not transverse waves like light or radio waves. They are longitudinal, but they do not diminish. They are not measurable, and they penetrate matter without energy loss. So if you make one abstraction, it is that what is incoherent in your energy field, the distortions, the scalar waves are capable of penetrating because they do not lose potency. So they can penetrate the biological organism. The physics of healing is the field, the resonance, and the signal and response. And this is very brief. I am not a physicist. And I am not a scientist. I am an intuitive and an energy sensitive. So, to understand how this works, we have to understand the nature of the field. So, the field dynamics include the EMFs, the negative energy. The resonance are specific frequencies that can be applied to support coherence in the environment and release or remove distortion. That's what Dr. Nima was saying. The collapsing, you can collapse the distortion, which is a quantum physics approach. You're creating a cancellation field so that in that field of energy, there's a natural protection. And then the field carries information. So you can design the information that the field is carrying. So most people, they're designing the house and the kitchen and the granite and whatever else, the fancy shower. But it's actually what you're not seeing that's going to impact your well-being. Does that make sense? So what is scalar energy? And we do have more advanced talks on this. It's non-Hertzian, toroidal, and everywhere. The question is, when you play frequencies, so David Gibson is a master of sound. He wrote one of the top books on sound recording. He's a sound engineer and running the Sound Healing Institute in Marin County, California. And he tells an interesting story. This is what happens when you play frequencies through scalar technology to an environment that's heavily.
There's a second thing, which of course is all the electromagnetism and Wi-Fi and all of that, which of course the Miracle iCube is like unbelievable. It's really, I had a guy who couldn't be in the city, and he was in our building, and he said, it's incredible in here because we got two of them. And so he just stayed in our place the whole time he was here for a week and couldn't go outside hardly at all. And so that's really cool.
That's what happens. So David's a master of sound frequencies also, and David Avocado Wolf, that many of you know as well, also has adopted the miracle into his protocol.
And I do want to put in a little testimonial about the Miracle iCube that was really profound, and I want everyone to hear this because this actually happened to me. I was doing a long cleanse, and maybe just before the cleanse happened, this was in 2020, I started having heart palpitations, and it was really strong. I was like, this is really intense. Like, I never had anything like that happen. It was like heart murmur, heart palpitations. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to fast and cleanse right through it. So, gradually, you don't ever just jump into a fast. You gradually bring yourself in. So I was gradually bringing myself into it over a period of a couple of weeks. I finally get, 4 or 5 days into a water fast. I had gone that far. I'm still having heart palpitations. I'm like, this is intense. But anyway, finally, the Miracle iCube arrives. And I started playing it, and it actually had started on a call that we had where I was like, something's happening to my heart just from you playing it in the background. This is true, legit. I was like, are you playing the Miracle iCube in the background? Remember that conversation?
I do remember.
You're like, yes. And I was like, something's happening to me from it. But when I got it and I got it playing, those heart palpitations went away and they never came back. It was gone. And I was like, whoa, this is having a profound impact on the overall field of not only my body, but my home and the plants. I mean, again, I've got 2 aloe vera plants that are just, it sits right in between those two. And they love that Miracle IQ. And it's playing right now, even though I'm not there. It's playing right now. It's playing into the house to all my plants, and the whole energy, the whole field. And this is that idea of the unified field, is that the unified field has to do with unifying yourself with your field and creating an environment where you feel unified with your environment so that they become one. And that's a really, really strong, almost instinct for me. It just, when I get into a living space, I immediately have to orient it so that the energy is flowing right for me and it feels right for me. And I got the right things, so I don't feel like I'm getting fried by the computer and, all that stuff. And Miracle iCube has been a big part of that.
Oh,
one of my favorite. Actually, I think it's probably the most powerful single tool I have. Ooh. And I've got a lot, and that's saying something. I have a lot.
So I'm going to break that down for you. What is he really saying? He's saying that was the beginning of the pandemic. David Avocado Wolf is a legend in the field of supplements and you might, in radically understanding what's going on in the medicine world. Both parents were doctors. And what was going on was we're at the beginning of the pandemic. He was in Canada. His nervous system was dysregulated because he has a farm in Hawaii and a farm in the Toronto area, and we were all in such uncertainty. So the field calmed him down. But what was interesting is it did occur across the screen. So I'm challenging that when you're able to actually change the signal and alter the signal, you can change the quality of the nervous system and the quality of the life, which is our mission. And this woman, Christy Garley, this is a stunning story because she has a daughter on the spectrum. And here's what happened.
Hi, my name is Christy, and I normally don't talk about this because I'm really good at denial.
So are we all.
But when my daughter was 3, she started walking in circles, and she would twist her arms back and lower her head, and sometimes she'd open her mouth, and it was scary as a first-time parent to see this. And I talked to the pediatrician about it, and she suggested getting her tested, but I was in denial. And I had talked to my chiropractor, and he said once you label somebody, it doesn't go away, and he suggested not because it was so mild. And so I didn't. But we tried all kinds of therapies, field control therapy, biofeedback. Of course, we went to the chiropractor regularly, anything I could find, and we tried it. And some things might help a little bit, but nothing made a big change in that. And one day I was reading my emails, and I had one from David Avocado Wolf, and he did an interview with Helena Riley. So I watched it, and it really, hit home. And I thought, well, I need to try this. So we got it in October of 2020. I didn't know how to use it. Just plugged it in, turned it on, and hoped for the best. And well, now it's January 19th. My daughter just turned 12 today. And I may have seen this behavior twice in the last month, when before it was nearly every day. And I'm so thankful that I have this device. And I hope this helps somebody. I think it has helped my husband. He, I believe he had PTSD. He drives a train for a living, and he's been in several accidents where people have died, and talked about getting help, but he never did. He was really hard to live with. He was different from the man I married, and within 3 days he was so much better and easier to live with, and he laughs again and smiles. It's been huge. So it's really worth a try. Good luck. Thank you.
So what happened to Christy and her family is we removed the distortion and everything aligned in a new way so that the nervous systems became regulated and they began to live together as a family in a state of coherence. I'm going to ask you a question. What's that worth? Is there a price tag on that? Because I've become aware that in the modern world, everybody knows the price of everything and the value of nothing. So the voice code is the key to get out of the trap of your subconscious. You've been building a biofield for thousands of years that is not only dysfunctional, it's destructive. And to decode the subconscious is the most important thing that you would do. Now, here's the key here. What's in your voice is in your life. We have developed a 5-octave system that analyzes over 1 billion bits of information in order to, as Nima said, create the frequency that will cancel that distortion. So it's a balancing, harmonizing soundtrack, new information to the biofield. Because at birth, so I just went through the process of witnessing the birth of my first grandchild. And in the 3rd trimester, the fetus essentially presses the record button and starts absorbing the sights, the sounds, the emotions, the feelings of the mother, the environment, the womb, and does not take their finger off the button until they're 7 years old. So during that time, they're absorbing the culture, the emotions, the behavior, they're being trained. And this is why most programs do not work deeply or fast enough, because you received 61,320 hours of programming, but you think the weekend workshop you went to last year is enough to change your life. Let me challenge that for you. You need a 24/7 plug and play instrument that's overriding your subconscious continuously, because your subconscious is 1,000,000 times as powerful as your conscious mind. So we are mostly living by the dictates of our subconscious. 95% of our reality is being programmed by the subconscious, and 5% by the conscious mind, which is why you're slow to shift and change. Now, this young man, Dr. Glenn Ryan, who is a research scientist as well and was actually employed at Stanford University doing research. He is one of the prominent researchers in quantum physics and in structured water. And he discovered there's an 80% cellular change in 24 minutes with our technology.
I use the voice program to my own frequencies being broadcast to me, and I just did like 2 cycles. This thing produced a 80% change in 24 minutes. So big difference, huge effect. No, that kind of blew me away, and that's partly why I'm here, aside from our resonance. I'm going like, whatever she did, she's running to something, because it really works, and it really works well.
And I realized this presentation so that you can see there's something behind this technology.
But now look at it. See, it's just a lot more coherence, a lot more. Over there, it's just like, it's just like the storm happening like in the head, right? So now the same thing happens again. Look at the front of the face. It was almost like distorting, it was disappearing. But now how much more energy you have coming out.
Looking forward.
And then look at in front of her stomach area. This is the gastrointestinal system. Look at the energy there. I mean, is this a miracle? Or, I mean, I don't know how else to call this, right?
That was like in an hour, the ship.
Less than an hour. That was 20 minutes of listening to sound therapy and drinking water.
And these are voice frequency spectrograms, which there's a consistent increase in energy, as you can see, with the orange increasing the energy. I have to get. So many of you have heard of Masaru Emoto, the best-selling author of The True Power of Water, who taught the world that our thoughts impact the structure of water using spectroscopy. And he visited us February 12th, 2003, and proposed a partnership. And I'm not covering the structured water today, but he's got the first bottle of indigo water, who was created for his best friend, Professor Shichida, who have global Shichida academies that are whole brain academies. So these are enlightened beings, and this was a meeting. So this was when Masaru visited us and brought actual images of our structured water, which is another application of scalar. So just to tie it all together, what Dr. Nemo was saying was that he found that the joules of the water had gone, tap water is usually around 1 joule. It's measuring the energy. It had gone to 5 joules. That means that the water in your body, just living in the field, is going to be more organized as well, because actually the skin is more penetrable than water pipes. So Dr. Emoto wrote about the voice code in his book. If this new system becomes popular, sound therapy would be able to make a quantum leap. And this was also an earlier version of the BioWell. You can see one of the big topics on planet Earth currently is alignment. Now let me ask you this question. How could you be aligned if your chakras looked like the image on the left? Well, that's the way most humans are experiencing life. They're walking around, something occurs, and they're nervous. This is an example of a dysregulated nervous system on the left, because the chakras have wobbled. I can't see the crown chakra, but the crown chakra is way out to the left. And then this being listened to the frequencies and the chakras aligned. So you can see that the voice code can be used as an alignment and manifestation, an amplified manifestation or affirmation tool. So after the voice code, the chakras line up. It's heightened focus and deep flow states. And the subconscious is now reprogrammed frequency-wise for success. The beauty now is that you can walk around with your soundtrack on your iPhone or your Android phone. And Brooke Dickerson, who was suffering from PTSD, was using the voice code as a method to rapidly shift.
Hi, my name is Brooke, and I've been doing quantum sound therapy for about 6 weeks. I have struggled with PTSD for a really long time, and pretty severely for the past 5 or 6 years. And it's basically, I would stay in my house all the time. I'd feel anxious going everywhere. I had panic attacks, anxiety attacks, flashbacks, looping thoughts, a lot of the time. And I've, in the past 6 months, started a new therapist as well. And so I think the combination of using quantum therapy with my new therapist has kind of been the perfect combination to be able to help me really process everything that I've been through and everything that I need to do to be a healthier person. And so since I've started quantum sound therapy, I have had absolutely zero anxiety attacks, no panic attacks, no looping thoughts, no anxiousness really at all, which is really amazing because I felt anxious all the time.
So use the voice code as the pattern interrupt for your anxiety or depression. And the subconscious mind is 1 million times more powerful than the conscious mind. That's why it keeps finding its way to take over your life. and Jacob also was using this, the voice code as a coach for his own life and for his clients, and found it really removed some of the deeper trauma issues and trauma bonds from his biofield. So hack number 3 is brainwave harmonization. Now, this is a key for you to understand transformation in the modern world, because we are now entangling with some discordant information like EMFs, and that is distorting your energy field and the energy field of your loved ones, your best friend, your pets. So sound frequencies can create coherence between brain hemispheres and also move you into constructive alignment with evolutionary frequencies, which is what we hope, what we have. And brainwave entrainment, by the way, they won the Nobel Prize in quantum physics for quantum entanglement. But our newest discovery is that the phase conjugation resonance mirror activates your connection to source or the third eye within about 3 minutes by looking at the lights at the top of the technology. So Dr. Glenn actually spoke about this at the, this was at
Beautiful.
the immersion.
Feel the group resonance. You guys connected. So this is group entrainment. And we're going to call the work the resonance mirror that just came in. That it's not a conscious mirror, it's a resonance mirror. It's reflecting the resonance that you're projecting.
Actually, it's called a phase conjugation mirror. It really, no, this is a real physics concept. A phase conjugation mirror converts a regular 4-dimensional energy into 5-dimensional energy. So it is actually capable of raising your consciousness to a higher dimension. Phase conjugation.
Phase conjugation. Phase conjugation. Thank you.
So that was in real time that we then Dr. Nima was there as well, and he measured and found with 3 people that there was a profound shift. So for those of you that are working on activating the third eye, that's what phase conjugation mirror is connecting you into the 4th and 5th dimension, which is, it roughly takes somewhere between 1 and 5 minutes of looking at the lights. So those of you that have the technology, this is a practice each day. And this is Tony Robbins and his wife, Sage Robbins. You can see the miracle on the floor in the right-hand corner with the red circle. So you can see they're writing affirmations in the presence of the Miracle Pro and preparing to enter into the state of coherence. You see, leaders know. And to activate the third eye is the key for your evolution. So you're opening doorways, but most of you are going backward and forward. So this is a technique or a tool that works instantly, and we've actually already validated it. And this is the gateway or the bridge to the gamma brainwave state and unified consciousness. So all of the things you hear people talking about, this is an active solution about removing the blocks. We don't call them blocks. They're distortions embedded deeply into your energy field that are, the effect is loosened over time through your living in a field of coherence that has been designed for your evolution. And here's the pivot. This made the quantum world real. This made quantum physics real, because there has been an ongoing debate since the time of Tesla and Einstein. Is quantum real, or is Newtonian physics real? So this was, they won the Nobel Prize in quantum physics for quantum entanglement September of 2022. And that's Anton Zellinger, John Clauser, and Elaine Aspect. This debate has been ongoing for over 100 years, but this is the signal that the paradigm has shifted. Now, Natalie Ledwell works directly, she is the co-founder of Mind Movies and works directly with Dr. Joe Dispenza as one of the research people. And here's her description of the brainwave entrainment.
Now, what I love about the iCube and the On Pocket is that when I'm listening to these frequencies, I can feel different parts of my brain firing all at the same time. I can actually physically feel it. So if I'm in a meditation, it's like I'm already connected to the unified field. And so any of these ideas or insights or, inspiration that's coming in, it's like I become an antenna for those ideas to come in. Or if I'm watching my mind movie, and I can feel my brain firing, I'm already starting to come up with, what do I need to do next? What's my next action? What direction do I need to move in? My brain feels like it's already solving the challenge of what I need to be able to do to create this as a reality in my life. It's absolutely phenomenal.
Wow. And here's her friend, Marcy Shimoff, who also uses, and I show you this because you need to understand that this is an ongoing process of alignment or entrainment, and your evolution depends on it.
Hi, I'm Marcy Shimoff. I'm the author of the New York Times bestselling books, Happy for No Reason, Love for No Reason, and Chicken Soup for the Woman's Soul. And I have to tell you, I've had the most wonderful experiences with the Miracle iCube. I have had actually 2 different Miracle iCubes. I have one in my office and one in my home for a couple of years. And what I notice is the incredible calming experience that I have from having them going. I feel more harmonious. My home, people walk into my home and go, wow, this feels so yummy to be here. It has such a clean, lovely vibe. And I also have noticed how much clarity I feel when I'm working on a project that requires creativity. I have to have my Miracle iCube there because it really clears my mind, allows me to focus, and some very creative ideas have come through as a result. In fact, once I was working on a book project and I wasn't in, I had gone on vacation and the iCube wasn't there, and I had it sent. And we set it up, and all of a sudden the clarity completely came in. So it's really a great thing to be able to experience how this wonderful technology can create a coherence in the environment and a clarity in the environment that allows me to feel that inside myself. And as a result, I just feel happier, more self-love, more joy. So I'm very, very grateful. Thank you so much for the Miracle iCube.
So now we're going to connect to the dots. You can see that the creativity is the same exact process as what happened with Michael Riley, is that when you're able to hack the left frontal lobe frequencies and activate the frontal lobe, which is roughly 40% of your brain, everything shifts because you're not going into the anxiety of fight, flight, freeze. So when you can master through consistent entrainment patterns, the activation of the frontal lobe, that's the pathway out of the dysregulated nervous system. Are you picking up what I'm putting down? This is the point. The way to automatically and effortlessly release yourself from dysregulated nervous systems is to activate the frontal lobe. That's it. With frequencies. And the result of that is what you see on the screen. That is precisely what changed Michael Riley's scores. He activated the frontal lobe through the use of frequencies that were being played through scalar coils. The rest is history. And so when you're entraining the brain into different states as well, quality deep delta state is code for quality of life. You're 3 times more productive, 40% improvement in relationships, and 68% improvement in prosperity. So this little kitty cat was smart enough. And the reason I always show this is that your pets do not know the placebo effect. And we created the science to show what we're doing so that you would understand this is not placebo. This is an organization of the energetic materials present in the human body and in the field. But this cat had a tumor and the grandmother showed up with the miracle. The cat slept there for 10 days, and when they went back to the veterinarian, it had dissolved. So the fourth hack is to make all of this coherence portable. And I just want to tell the story of this, that we were asked around 2013 to create the Ohm Pocket because it was stated that when 5G reached 30% concentration, you would not be able to tap into your guidance from the field, the guides. And so they asked us to produce this so that when you're walking around and all kinds of different discordant energy or chaotic energy is signaling you have your own pocket to stabilize your brain, to basically stabilize your brain waves, affect a coherence in the field that you're in, and also deal with your subconscious as you move through your day. And we are certainly drowning in radiation at this point. Elon Musk just got approval for 1 million satellites, which means more radiation. And there's no changing that. So it's pervasive, unavoidable, and really impacting brain waves, cellular stress, and mental fog, and also insomnia. And David, Avocado Wolf, he liked his pocket as well. He's an energy sensitive as well.
Greetings, David Avocado Wolf here. Welcome to my home. Usually I'm using my Miracle iCube up in my office, but I just got the Ohm Pocket, which is essentially the Miracle iCube in a little portable setup that I can bring with me. So this is the actual mini Ohm Pocket, and I could literally put that in my pocket, and that's my player. So it's going to play into this Ohm Pocket. Now I won't hear that sound unless I want to, but this could be on wherever I'm at. I could have this in my backpack. You may want to have this in your purse. You could even put it into the carry container that it comes with. If I want to hear the sound, what I'll do is I'll just take the plug out of there. I'll split it with that splitter right here, and one will go into the Miracle iCube and the other is going to go out to the speaker. You can use whatever speaker that you'd like. Simple, easy, light, and you can take the magic of the Miracle iCube with you with Ohm Pocket.
Spoken in true HSN. He's one of the founders or the creators of the NutriBullet, actually, and was on HSN for years. So unfolding your quantum potential. So the independent research confirms that quantum coherence fields measurably improve brainwave coherence, HRV and heart coherence, and EMF biomarkers. And this is an example of the before and after of the voice code, is the chakra. And this is the BioWell, by the way. This is Dr. Nima's project and Dr. Korotkov from Russia. So just for brevity, I'm going to move now into, and for those of you that are concerned about its being fragile, it is now unbreakable.
Yep. Dear Lord.
on top of it.
And it stayed in one piece, and it's on Ian Burton's desk. So, who this is not for, it's not for closed-minded people or skeptics who won't try something new, who are immediately skeptical, or passive observers, or the already perfect. So if you're perfect, but it is for conscious business owners, wellness and retreat centers, healers, coaches, or just individuals that are seekers and want to elevate their home, office, and life. And it's also for EMF aware peak performance families seeking unfair advantage and biohackers. So basically anybody open to energy. And at this point, you are probably having your own skeptical moment. So if you're wondering if nothing has worked for you and why this would be different, this is my son, roughly March, 11th. So if all this system did for you was harmonize your relationships, would the investment be worthwhile? If you have a child or two and you feel you need to set them up for success, if they start experiencing success because you've removed the distortions, would the investment be worthwhile? If you suddenly have peace of mind, knowing you've done everything physically and non-physically to support the people around you, would the investment be worthwhile? And if you simply began to learn how to manage your own nervous system so that when you go into states of fight, flight, freeze, you know how to effortlessly move out of it and go back into a state of coherence and flow state genius, would the investment be worthwhile? And if suddenly your creation, like Marcy Shimoff said, became more effortlessly and more genius, would the investment be worthwhile? Welcome to the world. This is Maeve Amelia Riley, who was born March 7th of this year, and Michael's wife, beautiful wife, Michelle. This is in a very early phase. And I will tell you that the harmony in this family is really amazing. The birth was difficult and challenging, but it is in the management of the energy field where it allows things to go smoothly. So even though there was challenge, Maeve was able to thrive. Welcome to the world. And welcome to your own success. So I have elevated our offer, and there are 3 different levels. At this point, we are actually sharing this with those who want to either integrate this into their center, their retreats, or their private practice, or their home. And this is a business in a box, essentially. So our top technology is the Serenosphere 9, and it essentially is 9 scalar coils designed with a massive, well, not massive, it's about this big, amplifier that is designed to play into the environment. And that's what Dr. Nima was speaking about. And this is not just purchasing a technology. This is actually a licensed experience model for New Earth leaders and volunteers. Many of you are being called to serve humanity at this time. You've been healers in the past. So we're including a 3-day certified facilitator immersion experience where we train you. And what I just shared with you, the plug and play PowerPoint, I would train you in the trainings. You'll be practicing inserting your story into this PowerPoint and then telling the dynamics of how the technology works. This presentation can be 5 minutes or 5 hours. And so the 3-day immersion experience includes training and licensing and certification and the Serenosphere 9 technology. And we're going to be holding those primarily in Hot Springs, Arkansas, but we're also opening Serenosphere coherence centers throughout the planet. So far, we're spreading out. We have Vancouver, California. Looks like we have Greece. So it's happening very quickly. And so the technology, the Serenosphere 9 is designed to run 24/7. And now you know from Nima, it brightens the environment. And you become a licensed coherence immersion leader. So you attend the training to experience the immersion so you can then share immersions and build out your own coherence reset experiences. And those coherence reset experiences also can evolve. So let's say you're an acupuncturist or a massage therapist or a talk therapist. This technology is designed to amplify the signal of all of those technologies and raise their resonance so it impacts them by making them more effective, by operating in a coherent field. So we also include the AM and PM soundtrack. So it's an audio player with thousands of frequencies that are tuned to 6 decimal points of resolution and all have very specific missions, like the focus soundtrack. I use this to actually demonstrate the impact of one soundtrack, but we also have gamma brain waves and so on. We also include a food and water imprinting soundtrack, and the technology incorporates plasma elements. That is what makes it a quantum technology: xenon, argon, neon, helium, and xenon. So those are being amplified through a scalar vortex and 4 red spectrum LEDs. And we're including as well 12 months of mentoring, a Serenosphere immersion ticket, all of the teachable video training. So all of our trainings, as well as structured water and a teaching about how to utilize structured water. As well, you have access to all of the things that I've built out, including timeline trainings, journeys, activations, PowerPoints, explanations, and ways to approach people to build your client network. So our training will be very holistic. And the soundtracks, you can see them on the screen, but each one of these soundtracks has multiple frequencies that have been tested by the non-physicals for up to 6 months to see the impact on humanity's evolution. So we have AM and PM. And the business in a box. So this is the business in a box offer. But for those who are not yet ready to host or lead, we also offer personal use technologies like the Miracle and Ohm Pocket. But these can also be used, and part of the training will be, I've been organizing the training for May, and part of the training is you can use the Miracle iCube if you host like small retreats or sound baths. You can bring the Miracle in to actually create a mini immersion, which I will train you to do at the immersion in Hot Springs. And this can draw your clientele as well. And the mini immersions can be the feeders for the Serenosphere coherence immersions. And also there's income in all of those. So you can become an affiliate, you can make an investment. So roughly, if you need a payment plan, you can roughly get into a Miracle for about $400 a month and start or increase your business, because people are really looking for premier interventions that work quickly. So we also have the offer of the Ohm Pocket, which we even have a Unity Church minister that uses an Ohm Pocket with her congregation. So this is your portable quantum shield, and you can carry it anywhere. Don't leave home without it. And again, that can be a payment plan as well. And if you would like to attend or participate in the immersion in Hot Springs, May 1st through 3rd, You want to make that decision as soon as possible. I probably have one more opening at this point. So your quantum upgrade starts here. And if you're interested in any of these offers, either book on my calendar today and we can post that, or you can put your phone number in the chat and I'll give you a call. So we also have several financing options. One is through coach financing. You would use that link and we've been pre-approved. So if you have a credit score of 560 or above and you can show revenue, you can come into the massive offer for about $400 a month. You would apply and they would in our link, and then you would get 4 or 5 offers and you can choose one and be into this as soon as next week. So there are also some zero interest credit cards. I have a lot of banks calling me right now. They're looking for people to fund. So if you have a business, you have an income stream and your credit is around 560 or above, you can probably get into a decent percentage with coach financing or 7-figure financing or split it. And some of you already have zero interest credit cards as well. So these are the special offer links. We can put that link in the chat. And this is just fun to watch. Reality is a mirror. You have created this for your own expansion and growth. We are inviting you to join us in the creation of New Earth. This work, and I boldly offer it to you, is grid work, and it's work at the highest level of the human biofield. We can influence millions and millions of people through a simple 24/7 plug and play technology. Listen to your soul that is speaking to you now and decide, are you ready to engage in the next level of your creation? Now, what would have happened to Michael Riley had we not done that intervention? That is the question. Who in your life needs the support of a coherence environment? Who needs to thrive instead of falling off the cliff into the abyss of the chaos and confusion currently playing out on planet Earth? We are here to harmonize your home, your heart and your brain. Join us. And also, Natalie, if we could post a ticket, I just got the message that I will do the Coherence reset as a gift to this group that listened. So post a ticket and I will continue the Coherence reset as a setting the stage for the immersion in Hot Springs May 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. So we will do Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and we're going to gift all of you a free ticket to the Coherence reset that occurs at 9 a.m. Eastern to 9:21 a.m. Eastern, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of next week. We want to thank everyone for being with us today, and it is our great honor and privilege to serve planet Earth with you. We are here for the mission. Let's create new Earth together. I want to thank everyone for being with us, sharing our energy. Of course, we did 2 hours, but we will thank you all. And this will be dissected by all of us, probably at the immersion, because you're going to be trained to actually do a brief version of this. I want to thank everyone for being with us. And this is the beginning of a very new journey. Let's do it together. So Natalie, you can unmute the lines and you're all invited to our Coherence reset Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday from 9:21. We're from 9 to 9:21 Eastern. And there I'm going to focus on the creation of your future self because I feel we didn't quite complete that yet. All right. So
Thank you.
Thank you. Love you. See you
Thank
soon.
you, Helena.
Bye.
Jessica,
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
also, for those of you
This
opening
was a
centers or practices, think about your story. What are we going to insert into your story? All right, I'll see you soon.